this story seem a little bit messed up. And I'm calling this one, What's the Deal with God Destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, turning Lot's wife into salt, and having Lot sleep and have sex with his own daughters? Now in the evening, two angels arrive in Sodom, where Lot is sitting at the gate. Lot greets the angels, and he urges them to spend the night at his house. He knows how wicked the city is. Now that night, as his guests prepare to go to sleep, all the men of Sodom gather around Lot's house, and they demand that Lot bring his guests outside so that they can have sex with them. Now can you imagine? Now I'm reading now from Genesis 19, 7 and 8. No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do whatever you want with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. But here's the thing. Lot has chosen to raise his family right in the heart of this corruption and immorality for years. He's fully aware of the perversions and the wickedness around him. This is a confusing offer for a man who seems to care for his family. So while his offer seems outrageous, it's clear that in many ways, Lot has already surrendered his family to the sodomite lifestyle. What a mess. Now back to the story. Lot's guests pull him inside and they shut the door, and then the men outside are struck blind. Lot has been reluctant to leave Sodom, but he's told to gather his family because Sodom is about to face its doom. The next morning, God's angels take Lot, his wife, and his two daughters outside the city and instruct them to flee without looking back, or else they too will be consumed. So Lot and his family, they flee toward the nearby city of Zoar, while God rains sulfur and fire onto Sodom and Gomorrah. Genesis 19, 25, 26, well, describes it like this. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Now Lot's hesitation to leave Sodom and his wife's tragic curiosity that caused her to turn around to see what was happening, well, I'll tell you what, it's not difficult to see that these things are part and parcel of the compromising values and clinging to worldly attachments, even when faced with divine warnings. So let's bring this chapter to an end. Afraid of staying in Zoar, Lot takes his two daughters and settles in the nearby hills, where they live in a cave. Then we see the humiliating and horrific fate of Lot and his daughters. It's described here in Genesis 19, 31 through 38. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there are no men around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. So let's get our father to drink wine, and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father." Now that night they got their father to drink wine. The older daughter went in and slept with him. Now he was not aware when she laid down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with father. Let's get him to drink wine again. And tonight, you go in and sleep with him so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father drinking wine, and that night also. And the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she laid down or when she got up. So here it is in Genesis 19, 36 through 38. So both of Lot's daughters, well, they became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab, and he's the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami, and he's the father of the Ammonites. Chapter 19 is one of the most dramatic and shocking chapters in all of Genesis, which is saying quite a bit. Now, the actions portrayed reflect some of the darkest parts of humanity. We're exposed to incredibly sinful behavior of people of Sodom, highlighted by the extent of their wickedness. But look, there's also hope, as God shows grace to Abraham by saving Lot and his family from the coming destruction. Now, this chapter emphasizes God's unwavering commitment to justice and his power to judge the sins of mankind. Yet it also reveals the deep and lasting effects of sin on Lot and his daughters, reminding us of the consequences that come from our evil actions. Now, I've long believed that the wrath of God is simply God letting us have our way and then standing back and allowing us to suffer the consequences of those choices. So in the end, Genesis 19, verses 36-38, that describes how they've lost everything. And they're living in a cave in the hills with their aging father. And the two daughters assume that no man will ever marry them and give them children. So starting these new families in such a wicked manner, hey, what would you expect the consequences of that would be? But that's a story for another time. I'll see you next week.